So tonight it is my turn to actually start reading in detail about my most loved, well, second loved army. That is my Death Guard, actually. So Mason, he actually did a very detailed review.
Meow.
There we go. Mason is alive. He did a very, very well and detailed review of the new Guard Codex, and I thought, well, I'm mostly playing my Death Guard. The newest rules they are, so I thought, well, why not do the same thing as him, right? So, I took a nice big sip of my nice sugary, well, not sugary, but nice green sour drink, and I guess we should get into this. So, Mason, if you have any comments, please chime in, okay?
Oh, I have plenty of comments. It's just whether or not they're appropriate.
Well, on this channel, we do not give two fucks about about swearing or people's feelings at all, because this is the 41st millennium, and your feelings mean nothing.
The 41st millennium.
Yes, exactly. So, first thing we gotta do is go through the chapter approved rules, and basically, if every model in your army has a Death Guard keyword, and your warlord has the Death Guard keyword, you get these rules. The first one is nor mercy nor
Well,
respite.
they're not. I wouldn't call them rules. These are optional secondary objectives.
Yes. No, actually, this is actually yes, it is actually. So my bad. So you have no mercy nor respite, and then it's called fleeing vectors. You score 3 victory points at the end of the battle round if enemy units fail morale tests this battle round that have one or more models destroyed by attacks with plague weapons in this battle round.
So it's kind of similar to the orc one, but yours requires them to fail a morale check, a morale test.
That is correct.
And it
But
has to be from a plague weapon, which can be from a shooting weapon, uh, as well. But unfortunately, there are counterplays to that secondary.
well, so actually, technically, what they could do is so for plague marines in close combat, they have plague knives. Now,
And in shooting, there are some plague weapons.
there,
And then there's also the stratagem to make bolters plague weapons.
yes, you do have virulent rounds to make bolt weapons have the plague weapon ability. But on top of that, plague marine squads can actually take. Here we go. It is called a signal of decay. Oh nope, you know what? I am sorry, guys. I
Sigil.
no, it
But
looks.
anyway, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Well, actually, before we go on, I want to say that I am sorry. I actually miss. Huh? Because
Mr.
no, actually, this is actually kind of amazing actually. So Mason and I, we've actually had some issues with the GW battle roster app. For example, Brogsides apparently have the fly keyword, and
Shrieker cannons on Death Justers are apparently strength 62.
and so you actually have you either can get an icon of despair or the signal of decay, and um, the last game that Mason and I had, I actually had icon of despairs, and that was the mortal wounds. But I thought the signal of decay said in the Warhammer app that if an enemy unit was within X amount of inches, it was -1 leadership. But it is actually something else. So I will retract my statement.
You were doing -1 toughness.
No, that was from something else that we will get to in a
Yeah,
second.
okay.
The Death Guard Codex is kind of complex.
Well, that's all the ninth edition ones.
But moving on, so the next one we have is Battlefield Supremacy, and that is a in-game objective. And if you select this objective, you score victory points as follows. Score 4 victory points at the end of the battle if you have one or more bubonic Astratus units wholly within your opponent's deployment zone, and one or more bubonic Astratus units wholly within your own deployment zone.
So basically, it's line breaker with extra steps.
Yes, but it's 4 victory points, so that's a good chunk of points.
Uh, Again, just because there is that counterplay aspect to it, I would rather just go for line breaker.
Well, you also have to go and you score another 4 victory points at the end of the battle if you have one or more bubonic Astrates units from your own army wholly within 3 different table quarters, and those units are oh my god, me English. And those units are all more than 6 inches from the center of the battlefield. Score 6 victory points if you have. Oh no, Mason, we're not even done yet. Score 6 victory points instead if you have one or more pneumonic Astratus units from your army wholly within each table quarter, and those units are more than 6 inches from the table of the battlefield.
Uh,
Score. Score 4 victory points at the end of the battle if you control more than half the total objective markers on the battlefield, and there are bubonic Astratus units from your army within 3 inches of each of those objective markers. And, last but not least, I'm not sorry, score 4 victory points at the end of the battle if every objective map marker on the battlefield is within contagion range of a contagion ability that units from your army have.
so basically, you're going to need a Nugget Swarm style list to get that one.
Yes, but here's the thing though, with that,
Eh,
you just can't take like, for example, like poxwalkers or cultists and just call it a day.
yeah,
You need a
you got to, you have to take a Nugget Swarm. Um,
so I like it for like bigger battles, and I think it's going to
it,
store the victory points. It's
again, this is a secondary that's done at the end of the game. It's not cumulative, right? Because there's so many 4 points here, 4 points there. So,
no, so each of those bulletin points, you if you get every one of these objectives, because each little
yeah,
so the
again,
so technically you
if
could get if you make all these. I'm sorry. If they do all the objectives, they can get up to 18 victory points.
you can only get a maximum of 15 per turn.
Well,
Um,
even at the end of the game.
this is, yeah, you can only get 15 per turn. Um, so yeah, that probably is cumulative throughout the game.
No,
So
it's
again, I'm still seeing the weakness of if they're a slow army to begin with. All right.
yes, but at the same time, you can go and put them in rhinos.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. If you're on an objective, it only counts for however many miles are on the table.
True.
So like if you're in a rhino, you just count as having a rhino.
Yeah, but that rhino will actually go and make you know, be able to travel around the board faster. Plus, on top of that, and we'll get into this a little bit later, but remember, Plague Marine squads, they don't have long range weapons. The longest range,
Yeah,
the
they're
longest,
more mid-range.
uh, I would say very, very low mid range because the longest ranged weapon that they have is a whopping 24 inches.
Yeah, that just sounds sounds about right for Space Marines in general.
But here's the thing, though.
Especially,
For firstborn Marines, they can take heavy weapons. Heavy bolters,
yes,
las cannons.
yes, but that's one per squad.
Correct.
Unless you're in Devastator, you're still limited to basically bolters.
Correct. But that
So,
but
eh,
that is gonna be for when we get to the Plague Marines, because
yep. So when I'm hearing about these secondaries, I'm hearing a lot of stuff that can be pretty easily counterplayed, especially if you don't get a Nugget Swarm moving pretty quickly from turn one.
oh no, I fully agree with you. I fully
Like,
agree.
you almost have to be doing either the Rhino Rush or the Green Tide style Swarm in order to have enough bodies to keep those objectives.
Yes, I agree. Well, there is one last objective that I think I find the most fun.
Okay.
Spread the sickness. It's an end game objective, and if you select this objective, Death Guard infantry units in your army can perform the following action. And before we go on, I just want to see if that will actually count for Poxwalkers and Cultists and Terminators. Um, it has the Death Guard and you know what? I'm looking at the wrong one.
You just gotta have the contagion ability, don't you?
No, you have to have the keyboard Death Guard infantry.
Oh.
So,
Yeah, they probably got it.
yes, actually. So Cultists have it. Poxwalkers have it. And
You're good.
I'm gonna guess everything else. But if so, basically, it seems like as long as you're Death Guard and you're an infantry unit, you can perform the following action:
Okay.
Spread the sickness. One unit from your army can start to perform this action at the end of your movement phase if it is within 3 inches of an objective marker. That has been contaminated. A unit cannot start this action while there are any enemy units, excluding aircraft units, within 3 inches of the same objective marker. The action
Okay.
the action is completed at the end of your turn. When this action is completed, you
Hmm.
can choose one of the following. You roll 1d6. On a 4 up, the objective marker is said to have been contaminated. Or, the unit performing this action suffers D3 mortal wounds, and that objective marker is said to have been contaminated.
Okay, that one is a lot better because there is no real counterplay to it. And I say that because that action only takes your turn. It doesn't go into the enemy turn.
Well, also, they score 3 victory points at the end of the battle for each objective marker on the battlefield that has been contaminated from your army. So,
Yep.
so I like that much more than Despoiled Ground. But I also like fleeing vectors of the plague weapon one. So, I think I would take both of those. But I
Yeah.
think Spread the Sickness is number one. But that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is a lot better. I mean, the part that I worry about spread the sickness is that there's a lot of things that can counter it. Just because you got the 2 CP for Insane Bravery, you got in the Orc Codex, you got knocking heads. There's a lot of stuff that just either ignores or minimizes leadership, and it's bigger. It's I shouldn't say it's bigger. It's more the leadership phase is more or morale phase is more dangerous than before, but there's just so many ways to ignore it. If you want to get this objective off, then I would say that you would need to force a morale check on at least 2 or 3 units.
Oh, yes, I fully agree with you. So,
So,
moving
eh,
on to the detachment abilities. And if your army's battle forged, Death Guard detachments gain the disease minions Infernal Jealousy, and Fortid variant abilities. Um, Bubonic Austrades, Unix, and Death Guard detachments gain the Intoxicable Advanced ability. Plague Marines and Poxwalkers, Unix, and Death Guard detachments gain the Objective Secure ability. So, disease minions, you cannot take more Plague Follower Unix than Bubonic Australia's Core Infantry Unix in each Death Guard detachment.
And this was an answer to a in the previous codex, people were just taking poxwalkers upon poxwalkers, and that's pretty much it. And they just filled the board.
Well, do you remember that I really wanted to do like a almost a full
Hmm.
army of Poxwalkers?
Yep. And it was good in tournament play because, yeah, with that many bodies, you just couldn't kill enough. And it just made the game. You couldn't go around them. You couldn't attempt a breakthrough maneuver. There were just too many bodies. So this is their way of trying to limit it and try to putting in some game balance.
But at the same time, now,
It was really fluffy.
yes, but at the same time, though, I think a Death Cult Cultist is about the same amount of points as a Poxwalker, and a Death Guard Cultist unit can take up to 30 Cultists, and Poxwalkers can only take up to 20. So, you can.
Except but the poxwalkers are also a little bit more durable.
Yes, but Cultists are a little bit faster. So,
Yeah, take your pick.
so it's
Take your pick.
so it's a little bit of here and there, and just for S and Gs. Hold on one quick second. Um, so a Death Cult Cultist, each one is 5 points per model, and a Poxwalker is also 5 points per model. So,
Okay.
they cannot include more Poxwalker units than Bubonic Core Infantry units in each Death Guard detachment in your army. An example: if a detachment includes 2 Plague Marine units and 1 Blight Lord Terminator unit, it can also include up to 3 Death Guard Cultist units and up to 3 Poxwalker units.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah, it's just an example. Yeah.
it's not that bad overall, but for me, how my what my army is right now, it kind of stinks because the only Plague Marines per se that I have is just regular troops. Once I get my Terminators painted up, then it's gonna help me out, get more cheap infantry
Yeah.
on the field. Um,
Yep.
but
It's it's just not how you originally envisioned your list.
correct. And the next thing is Infernal Jealousy. And you gotta keep in mind, us Death Guard guys, we're very, very jealous, and we do not like sharing the power with anybody else. So they can include a maximum of 1 Lord of the Death Guard in each Death Guard detachment in your army, and they can only include a maximum of 1 Demon Prince unit in each Death Guard detachment in your army.
Yeah,
So,
and this type of rule is pretty much in every ninth edition codex. They're just trying to well, there is the rule of three. They are trying to still limit some of the very powerful HQs, like captains, like your Terminator lords.
I mean, I do remember a couple of editions ago. I don't want to get too off topic here, but I do remember it was the end of 8th edition when the Night Lords had their own little mini codex or
Hmm.
supplement, and there was actually a very good build for a Night Lord's Demon Prince that had wings. That, long story made short, it was like it was very hard to hit the guy in the first place, and on top of that, he had like a 2-up save, like a 3-up invulnerable save or something like that. So, and I
Yes.
and I do remember I did play a couple of games where I had 2 of those Demon Princes, and it was broken. and they can make demon apprentices are not as good as before, but they can still be pretty good nonetheless. So,
Again, it's just an extra little game balance mechanic.
oh yeah,
That's it. Again, it's prevalent in every ninth edition codex in one form or another.
right. Then on top of that, it does make sense from a fluff point of view. Okay,
What? I can't have my orcs be led by three war bosses in the same detachment? What?
doesn't I mean it makes sense to me, right? Um, so, um, so Forted Veyron, they can include up to three Forted Veyron units in the Death Guard detachment, while taking up one elite battlefield role slot. Each of these units must be from a different data sheet.
Okay.
And I'm going to just tell the audience that even though I've had this codex for a while, I have not really gone too deep in this list. I've only really looked.
It's it's the it's kind of like the Death Guard equivalency of the Dark Eldar's Court of the Archon. The best is the easiest way I can describe it.
Here we go. So like a Blightbringer would be one actually. Da, 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 da. A Tallyman, a Biologist, Putrefier, Plague Surgeon.
Yeah, and you can only have, and they would all take the same one Force Org slot.
Yep.
And what is the condition to have that free Force Org slot again?
So they can only include up to basically three of those units in a Death Guard detachment, while they only take up one elite role slot. So
Okay.
basically, they can't have two Tallyman. It has to be, you know,
One guy that's actually counting up all the diseased people. Okay.
right. So it kind of makes sense, but at the same time, it kind of stinks because now
Some of them are pretty good and have decent aura abilities.
yeah, and it also kind of stinks because I actually got two of the Plague Marine startle sets. So I have two Death Guard Lords and two Death Guard Bright Lords actually. So I don't know what I'm doing with them, but that doesn't.
eBay.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Right now, people want to know about the in, Intoxicable Advance, and basically, this unit counts as remaining stationary if it did not fall back or advance in the previous movement phase. If has a vehicle keyboard, it does not suffer the penalty for moving and firing heavy weapons. And if
Um,
this
Makes sense.
unit has the infantry keyword, it can ignore any or all modifier suits move characteristics, advance rolls, and charge rolls.
Yep. Inexorable advance.
So
Decent roll.
so here's my question though with that. So I know I've used this a couple of times and I love it. Tangle for grenades. The Coastworks have this, and it's basically um, it's a strategy point, I think, too.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you can toss it off in the movement phase, but I've done it in the charge phase, where when an enemy unit would go and charge you, you roll a d6, and whatever that d6 is you minus, what it, the not whatever the opponent rolled for the charge range,
Yep.
and that has saved my butt a couple times actually. Now my thing is, does that mean that Tango for grenades are basically useless because of Intoxicable Advance? Because it does say ignore any and all modifiers to its move,
Move, not charge.
but it also says all modifiers to its move, advanced, and charge rolls.
Okay, that's a different issue. Yeah. If it's move, advance, and charge rolls, ignore all modifiers. That minus D6 is a modifier.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. So it is interesting to say the least.
So that's basically two CP in the current custodes. Codex, which is probably going to get replaced here in about a month or two, I believe.
My golden boys are kind of off the table right now. I'm wanting to get my green silver coat painted up, but yet again, people do not want to hear about those golden boys and the six-limbed star people. They want to know about the play companies.
The multi-limbed emperor.
Sure, why not? So play companies, you have to pick a play company out, and each different play company has its own world traits and relics. So this is going to be kind of a long. Um, it's going to be the long part right here.
All
So
right.
the first play company is the Harboringers, and basically it. So for one CP, it's a strategic ploy stratagem. So use this stratagem in the fight phase when a Harbinger Poxwalker unit is selected to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, they can reroll the hit roll. That's pretty good
Okay.
actually, because you also got to keep in mind that Poxwalkers do have two attacks.
Now, also keep in mind that stratagem that makes those hit those hits that can then turn into what is it? Unmodified wounds of sixes.
Yeah, so that stratagem is called Mutant Strain, and that is an unmodified roll of a 6. Inflicts a mortal wound on the enemy unit, but if you roll a 1, you get a mortal wound on the Poxwalker unit. So that will actually help you
Yep.
save some
So you're
Poxwalkers.
Yep. So use that combo together, and I do believe Typhoid Mary does have that as her or his really, because it's Typhus. I refer to as Typhoid Mary as their company.
I think Typhus is actually not the first. Is not part of the first Plague Marine company. Actually, I think he is
I thought
actually.
he was part of the Harbingers.
Oh, you know what? Hold on. You are correct, actually. Huh. Yeah.
Because in one of the recent expansions, or no, it wasn't recent, I'm sorry. In a previous expansion, it was listed as there was basically a Poxwalker build. It made Poxwalker builds very good, and it had to have Typhus as an HQ.
Okay, because honestly, I was just thinking to myself that it kind of makes sense that such a big boy is going to be the first Plague Marine company. But in my defense, remember the number 7 is the lucky number for Nurgle, and I thought he was part of the 7th Plague company.
No,
So
no, they still follow the old Space Marine Legion rules and Typhus apparently thinks he's better than Mortarion for some reason.
he is, but that's something else. So you do have the warlord trait called Shamble Rot, and basically you have the following ability. It is a contagion. So while an enemy unit, excluding vehicle units, is within contagion range of this unit, at the start of your opponent's movement phase, roll a d6, subtracting 1 if that enemy unit has a character keyword. And on a 4-up, the unit suffers a mortal wound. But if you roll a 6, it's d3 mortal wounds. So that could be
So it's just an aura at the start of your opponent's movement. Okay. That one's good.
So my thing though is this. Let's just say you're in turn whatever, okay?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what turn.
It's turn 3, your containment range is 9 inches, okay?
Yeah.
Now my thing is it just so let's say there are multiple enemy units surrounding you within that range. Is it for everyone or is it
Read it off again.
it says while an enemy unit, so it doesn't say unix, it says unit.
while an enemy unit,
Yes.
does it say that you have to select one?
Let me look at the Contagion Rules just real quick because
No, read that rule again in full. No, basically this. No, read it in full.
so it says while an enemy unit is within contagion range of this unit at the start of your opponent's movement phase, then you roll a d6, 4 up, you get a mortal wound on that unit.
Yeah, that's just anything that's within range because it's an aura ability.
Let me look at one quick thing just to double check here because I don't want to go and
Yeah, it's just an aura ability is all it is, and that makes any enemy unit that's within that range.
okay. So actually, I think I actually have an answer to that. You are correct. It does say underneath the contagion abilities, and it says contagion abilities affect enemy models or units that are within range. So units is a plural noun, so that means multiple units.
It's also just because it's an aura ability.
And
Unless the aura ability specifies that it's you have to select a target, it's just going to affect everybody within range.
well, it also says enemy unit and okay, that doesn't matter. The English have a really funny when it comes to their style of English, of the Queen's
Well,
English. We
it's
are
also it also has to do with its GW book. Sometimes they add the S, sometimes they don't, and sometimes they'll FAQ it, and sometimes they don't.
well. Let's just say that when they were doing that, when they were typing this out, they were drunk off their ass on Guinness. Moving on from there, the relic is called Infected Remains, and it's basically a big bag of body parts. Um,
Sounds delicious.
it is very delicious. Once per battle, at the end of the movement phase, you select one objective marker within 3 inches. While while the bearer is on the battlefield, that objective marker has the Contagions of Nurgle ability.
All
And
right, so find a centrally located objective, slap it on.
but the thing is, if that were that if that model is within 3 inches of that objective, so it's cool, but at the same time, I have a feeling that it might be better relics than just that. So
Yes, there are probably going to be better rocks than that, but if you're going to use that, if then you just put him on a centrally located objective, slap that bag of bodies right on there, and any enemy unit that wants to get on there is gonna take that -1 toughness, and you can shoot him with bolter shells.
well, here's my thing though. I'm trying to figure out. So it says at the end of the movement phase, you select one objective marker within 3 inches.
Yeah,
But it says while the bearer's on the battlefield, that objective marker has the Contagions of Nurgle ability. So my question is, so turn one, they go up to that objective marker, and then that objective marker becomes has the Contagion ability. So does that mean that if the model the next turn moves out of that 30 inches, does an objective marker still have that ability for the
as
game?
far as I, as far as I can tell, yes, because what you're doing is you're basically setting the bag of dead body parts down on that objective, and then you're leaving. As long as the bearer is on the battlefield, right?
Yes.
So the counterplay to that is just killing the bearer. So the bearer puts the bag down, runs away, and the enemy basically has to kill him in order to cleanse the objective,
Well, I just wanted to double check because last time I wanted to do was to go
which
and
yep,
mess up the rules. So,
which kind of creates a little mini game.
okay, so second company, the Intoxicable. So the stratagem they have for one CP, it's called Pharaohic Miasma, and you use the stratagem in the opponent's charge phase when a intoxicable unit from your army is selected as a target of the clerics. Until the end of the phase, you subtract 2 from cleric rolls made for any unit that declares a cleric against that unit.
Okay.
So that can be pretty good, depending on who you're fighting against.
Well, I wouldn't say it's about who you're fighting against so much as how far away are they making that charge?
Correct.
It's- I don't care if it's other Death Guard. If they're 7 inches away or more, oh yeah, I'll pop that stratagem. But if they're less than 7 inches away, I'll be like, no.
But my thing though is this though. So if there was a generic stratagem from the stratagem list, I can see that being a good thing. But my thing is, do I want to go and select this company just to get that?
Uh,
Now,
Probably not.
now maybe the warlord trait that is called Pharaohic Blight. It is a contagion. While an enemy unit is within contagion range, each time an attack is made by a friendly, blah, my god, my English, intoxicable model is against that enemy unit, you improve the armor penetration characteristic by 1.
That's the generic trait?
No, that is the warlord trait.
Um,
So, so here's
it's a good warlord trait, but at the same time, I've seen factions with that as their faction ability.
so just the one thing I do want to clearly mention is so for the play companies, and I when I got this codex, I had to go and I triple checked the book because I was very surprised. So for like the Oryx, you have the different clans or the Imperial Guard.
Yeah,
Well, you have the different.
your Death Guard Codex is organized in the same way my Grey Knight's Codex is.
No, so I don't know how what the Granite. Um,
The Grey Knights also, they all have the same main ability.
yep.
They all, but the different companies have a specific stratagem, warlord trait, and relic as well as psychic power. So your codex is organized very similar to the way the Grey Knight Codex is.
Okay, so
And again, I wouldn't pick that one just because, yes, that's a warlord trait. But I've seen that warlord trait as a generic detachment ability given to things like Necrons.
well, how about we go and take a big casket that is full of leeches, and you pick them, and each time an enemy model is destroyed by a melee attack that has this casket, select one friendly vehicle within 18 inches of the barrel. Blah.
Bearer.
Yes, that model regains 1 lost wound.
Uh, if you got a vehicle heavy list, sure. But if you don't bother.
Yeah, I mean honestly, second company. Yeah, I do like the idea of actually regaining wounds for vehicles, and they
Yeah.
can do it the whole game. It's not like a one time.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
It's you gotta have the build to support it.
well that, and I have a feeling that we still got 5 companies left. Maybe one of these might have a better abilities. But so far, I think the first company is the best. But moving, moving on from there, let's go to the third company, and that is Moltron's Anvil, and the command point, the unique command point, is called Repelic. My God, Assault. So it is a strategic ploy stratagem, and you use the stratagem in the opponent's charge phase when an enemy unit finishes a charge move. Select any number of Monturnian's Anvil units from your army that is within 3 inches of that enemy unit. Until the end of that phase, the selected units are eligible to perform heroic intervention as if they were characters.
All right, but they still have to be within the normal 3-inch heroic intervention range, right?
Yes.
Eh, I can see the point to it, but it's not really stand out like the first company one.
Yes, but at the same time, people might not like the idea of actually having pox workers.
Yeah.
I've seen, I've heard, I talked to this one death company guy, and he doesn't have any pox workers at all, or cultists. He only has plague rings, and he has the old school setup of the Rhino Rush. So,
Uh,
so
and even for him, that this might not be that great.
with that, or I can see if you have, let's just say like your warlord, for example, and he's about to get charged by, let's just say, a not death, yeah, let's go with death company, like a squad of death
Death
company.
Company, Death Company, Dreadnought, Furioso.
Well, yeah, something that's close combat, or even if you have like like Land Raider, the Death Guard Land Raider
Yeah.
is about to get charged by an enemy unit. Well, maybe they want to save that Land Raider, because he's a lot of points. So they will just go and toss in, a squad of Plague Warnings or two or whatever. So
Now,
I'm
if it might not save the unit, but if that's a unit that you either do want to kill in return or you just want to hold down, that would be very good. For example, if I put out that murder succubus with the triptych whip and precision blows, whatever she's gonna assaults is probably going to die. But if you use this against her to have two or three other units come in, you can at least hold her down a little bit, maybe do a tad bit of damage on her, if not outright kill her, because she does have 4-up invul in close combat.
well, the other thing.
So, so you might hurt her before she jumps out of combat and then re-engages.
Well, the other thing they can always do is if they have a squad like Death Shroud Terminators, and they are the close combat Terminators,
Hmm.
you can always do that to toss them in. But I
Yeah.
think it's a very situational.
Do I know we haven't gotten the data sheet yet, but are there any units, relics, or anything like that that gives a fights last ability to the enemy or a fights first type ability for Death Guard?
Off the top of my head, I don't think so. Um,
If there is, if there is, then this would be great in combination because if you have a fights last type ability, that would counteract Succubus's fights first type ability for things like Cult of Strife. So it would just go in the normal order of operations, and at that point, uh, you you're more likely to do some decent damage to the Succubus. And even if it's not Dark Eldar, maybe it's like a Grey Knight unit that's assaulting you. You're more looking to hold them down more than anything else.
I don't know. I'm just going through the stratagems real quick, and I don't see anything about going last.
Yeah,
Um,
fight. Maybe giving a friendly unit fights first, giving a enemy
no,
unit fights last.
no, I don't see anything like that at all. Sadly.
All right. Again, because if I were to, or maybe it's for like the equivalency of a chaplain, might have something like that.
Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is if we go keep on plowing through this.
All right. So let's put a tab in that. Let's put a pin in that,
Yep.
and let's try to remember that for later. Okay?
Yes, we shall. So the world trait is called Glooming Bloat. It is another contagion. And while an enemy unit is within the contagion range for this unit, that enemy unit cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend, and each time a model in that enemy unit makes an attack, the hit roll and wound roll cannot be rerolled.
Uh, if we're fighting Tau, this would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, or even Imperial Guard.
But just be unfortunately with how non-prevalent Overwatch is nowadays, uh, I wouldn't go for it.
Yeah, I mean, yet again, I think it's a situational thing. I think if they were fighting Tau or Guard, um, I would maybe see that being a good thing. I do
But
like.
if you're going to a tournament where you have to have this already pre-chosen, you
Nope.
know you're probably going to fight a Dark Eldar, Orcs, and Admech. Yeah, probably not.
Well, the next thing is going to be the Relic, and that is called Warp Insect Hive. And each time the bearer makes a close combat attack, you reroll the hit and wound roll.
All right.
But at the same time, it's just kind of like, do you want? I like it, but at the same time, do you want to go and just give up that unique command point, stratagem and roller trait just to go and re-roll an attack on one
Uh,
guy?
well, you gotta keep in mind, like me coming from the Grey Knight's perspective, I have this re relic that replaces the halberd that's called the Soul Glaive. That Soul Glaive is a just another halberd that re-rolls hit and wound rolls, and it's not half bad. Especially if you want to create a champion type character, that's actually pretty darn good.
I mean, I think it would be really good if you mounted like on a demon prince. I mean, keep in mind he is hitting on a two already, or a lord or something like that. Um, but at the same time, for a lord, you do have that reroll hit of a one, and they already hit on a one anyway. But at the same time,
But you also have to think beyond HQs. There's also plenty of elites, heavy support that
oh
are
yeah,
characters.
for
So
sure,
we got to look at them as well when we're looking at this.
correct.
So especially like a demon prince, like you mentioned, that would be excellent. I don't know. Is there kind of a champion type equivalency in that codex?
You mean
Like
like
an Emperor's Champion equivalency?
I was actually looking for that, and no, not really. The You have the Chaos Lord, you have the yeah, no, there is not actually.
Eh, you might put on the Lord if he's got something that is -1 to hit with, like a Power Fist. But that's probably it. Even then, you'll probably have something better.
Huh.
All right, what's next?
Well, the next thing is the fourth company, and that is the car, and they are called the Wrenched. So, for one command point, you get sevenfold blessings, and that sounds like a really bad emo band. Um, so you use this stratagem before the battle, and you select one Psycho model from your army. That model knows one additional power,
Hmm,
and once per psychic phase, it can reroll one psychic test unit from that model.
okay, that was actually pretty darn good.
Yes, but it would be kind of nice if you can also do a extra psychic or an extra deny the witch.
Yeah, but you already cast two,
Yeah, but
so
a third
it
one
this
or like
this adds extra flexibility.
yes, but on top of that though, let's see here. I know. So demon pranks. How many can a demon pranks know? So they can only deny one psychic power. Yeah. So a demon pranks actually. They can only know one psychic power. They can only deny one psychic power. And the what do they call them? The playcaster. He knows two psychic powers and can deny one psychic power. So
Yeah, so it's adding flexibility to your psyker.
I think this be I think they'd be really good on a demon prince now. So they can actually have that bonus, psychic thing.
Yeah. So, all right, that's not too bad.
Yeah. So the roller trait is called the Edel Plague. Yet again, I am detecting a pattern. It is another contagion. So while an enemy unit is within contagion range, each time an attack is made by a friendly ranged model um, against that enemy unit, roll an unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds the target.
All right, that's it's especially good if you have like lower strength weaponry that's trying to hit something that's pretty high toughness.
But
So let's so even if you're just trying to fire bolter shells against an orc, or if you're firing bolter shells against, like a land raider, you're still gonna, because it's unmodified hit rolls of 6 are still wounding regardless. You don't have to take that wound roll. It's just done.
yeah, I mean, I can see it being something cool. But like, you gotta keep in mind though, for the contagion range, for the
Yep. It's like 1379 or something like that.
so for round number one, x1 inch, 2 is 3 inches, 3 is 6 inches, and 4 is 9 inches. Um, there is a way they can actually add on an extra 3 inches to the contagion range, up to 12 inches. But I guess, but for something like that, you have to be legitly for the first like 2 turns, like base to base touching almost, just to get that.
Eh,
So I like it, but at the same time, I find it kind of iffy. So we went on to the Relic, the Demon's Favor, and that is only for this is only for a playcaster model. So the president, oh my god, the
the president is a plague caster.
um, the Barrow's Fallout ability is replaced with the Fallen ability, and just to double check, because yet again, like I said, I have not looked through this codex all the way, and I'm a very naughty boy. Um,
We're learning on air.
so for that Fallout rule, each time this model successfully modifies a psychic power, if the psychic test was 7 or higher, the closest enemy unit within 12 inches suffers one mortal wound. Which,
Yeah, you used this before.
yes, and I liked it a lot, but you will actually have. So if you succeed on a psychic test over 7 or more, the closest enemy unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, or wait, okay, the closest enemy unit within 12 inches suffers D3 mortal wounds. Otherwise, the closest enemy unit within 6 inches suffers 1 mortal wound.
All right. Still, it's another mortal wound aura ability. Always good.
Yeah. Um. So what do you think about them?
I actually, though, so far they're, if you're, how do I say this? Unless you are going for a large Poxwalker build, I'd say this is the best one so far. Just for general purpose.
Yes. Well, we still have 3 companies left, And the next one up to bat is the Poxmongerers, and and their unique command stratagem is called Bileless Blood Rush, and it sounds like a really good death metal band actually. Um, so use this stratagem in the shooting phase.
Wait till you play corn.
Oh God. Um, so when a demon engine unit from your army, like Defiler for example, is selected to shoot until the end of that phase, models in that unit can make attacks with blast weapons against units within engagement range of their unit, and each time a ranged attack is made by a model in that unit against an enemy unit that is within engagement range of their unit, add 1 to the attack's hit roll.
Alright, so that counters what would be the -1 normally. So if you have a vehicle heavy list, here you go.
Yes, and I do like the idea of actually having defilers actually shooting the battle
Uh,
mechanics in close combat.
Defilers, Mythic Blight Haulers. Do the little bloat drones that you get from the old starter set, do those have the vehicle keyword or no?
I do want to say yes, but my question is, do they even have any blast weapons?
They should?
So,
Because I think they got that one flamethrower.
so they do have the Hellbrook that can actually take a oh yes, the plasma cannon, which is a blast, and it can take a missile launcher. But the bloat drone has no blast weapons,
Oh,
but the blight haulers, it's a little tripod looking thing, tricycle looking thing, that does have 2 blast weapons.
okay. And
So
so that's what you're looking for.
yeah, so it's not that bad.
All right. Again, if you're looking for a vehicle heavy plague list, here you go.
Oh, excuse me. Okay,
I just mute myself when I do that.
so the warlord trait for them is for the warlord. Duh. Yet again, oh my god, another contagion. So when an enemy unit is within contagion range of this unit, subtract one from the leadership characteristic of models within that enemy unit, and subtract 1 from combat attrition test taken from that enemy unit.
Again, the morale phase is more devastating than ever, but at the same time, uh, there's also more counters to it in most codexes. Probably the least amount of counterplay that is probably within the Orc Codex that I've seen so far due to the change of the mob rule. Because Tyranids have counterplay very easily as long as they still have the leader beasts, and most other armies they play multiple small units so that they don't have to worry about leadership. And even in Orc army, most Speed Freaks armies, what you're going to find on the tournament side, don't really worry about it either. Like pretty much only my green tide list will worry about it, and that's really it.
Well, I think yet again it's another situational thing. But to go back to your main standard of would it would I give my army this oh god, I'm sorry guys. Would I bring this company to a tournament?
Yeah, no.
No, I would not. Just because I have a feeling that a lot of people would be taking Space Marines or Chaos Marines or um,
Cust Custodes, Harlequins, Drukhari, but the Drukhari are mainly taken in multiple small units. So even if you take out like 3 or 4 and pass their leadership with a -1 pretty easily. Yeah, and even then, you gotta force it on 2 or 3 units at the same time. Otherwise, there's generally you got your insane bravery. There's usually at least 1 bit per codex that will ignore or boost their leadership that is going to be taken in mass. So you just gotta you gotta pile on the leadership test, otherwise it's just not gonna work.
Well, the thing that we have to keep in mind though is there might
This
be there might be
this
some.
isn't like fifth edition where pretty much everybody but Space Marines had counterplay, or Space Marines were the only ones that had counterplay to leadership, and everybody else was the ones that suffered.
Well, there might be a somewhere within this codex ways to actually go down, make the leadership enemy leadership even worse. So maybe for this it doesn't sound that good, but maybe with the combination of there might be a unit that might make their enemy units within X amount of inches, -1 or -2. So that on top of that, then maybe -2 or -3 for leadership would be pretty dang good.
Hey, I had a Death Jester that made your Plague Marines -6 leadership.
Yes. But moving on from that, the relic for them is basically called the Ironclad Furnace, and in the command phase, you select one friendly demon engine within 6 inches of the bearer, and until the start of the next command phase, models in that unit have a 4-up invulnerable save.
All right, that's solid.
Um, so they gotta keep in mind, demon engines are basically like defilers. You have the bloat drones.
Oh yeah. If you got the demon engines, I would love this.
But my question though is, so the plague crawler, the bloat drone, and the haulers, they have a 5-up invulnerable save. The defiler has a 5-up invulnerable save. I just want to double check.
Your Land Raider.
No, a Land Raider does not have the Demon Agent keyword.
Oh, I thought it did.
It has the Machine Spirit keyword.
No.
Um, the Predators do not have the.
Yeah, they're more natural.
Yes, the Defiler does have the Demon Agent keyword, but it also has a 5-up invulnerable save.
Eh,
But the last Demon Agent unit that I can think of off the top of my head is the Hellbrook, and the Hellbrook does not have an invulnerable save.
but he does have the demon engine keyword, which means he could benefit from this, right?
No,
No?
no.
Wait, was it that they get a 4-up invulnerable save, or it's +1 to their invulnerable?
They get a 4-up invulnerable save. So my question
But
now,
does it? So is it linked to the demon engine keyword, or does it specifically say a demon engine that has a 5+ invul save is increased to 4?
Demon Agent keyword.
All right, so if it has demon engine keyword like the Hellbrute, he goes from not having an invul to having a 4+ invul.
The Hellbrute does not have the Demon Agent keyword at
Oh,
all.
I thought you said that it did. Okay.
I thought it did, but I guess I was completely incorrect.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
the other thing I'm trying to figure out is I don't think actually I have any flyer units. I do not. Like I'm surprised I don't have like a
Well, to be fair, they're not for Space Marines in general, including the Chaos. They're just not very good.
yeah, but at the same time, think about I can't remember the top of my head the name of the flying chicken for the Chaos guys, but
Helldrake.
there we go. Because that is Demon Engine keyword, I think. But I don't know if he's got a invulnerable save off the top of my head. But
Eh.
it doesn't really matter because we don't have access to it. So, oh well. Moving on to the next company. If I can go back to the correct spot, which I will within the next 5 seconds. I will.
The Vodka Company.
I wish. Okay, so Lucky Six, the Ferrymen, and the um, unique stratagem is called Droning Wings, and you use this stratagem in the command phase. You select one Ferryman Fortret Viron model from your army. Then select one of the model's aura abilities. Until the start of the next command phase, add 6 inches to the aura ability, up to a maximum of 12 inches.
Okay.
So that's pretty good. I can see that being a good thing. Um,
I
so,
don't know what any of them do, but it sounds like it'd be worth it.
well, when we
Even if it's like a six up feel no pain or a booster feel no pain, I should say. If it was like minus +1 to hit, or reroll ones to hit, it'd still be good.
well, like for example, the Tally Man. Um, they're one of the things that they can do actually is um within any pick one Death Company core unit within 6 inches. To the start of the next command phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the attack's roll.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
a +1 to attack
It's
is pretty good.
He's their equivalent to an ancient.
Or they can do a Plague Surgeon, which does give a 3-up funeral. I mean, 3-up funeral pain. I would love that. A 6-up funeral pain, but that's only within models within 3 inches. So yeah, that's yeah. So
Yeah, I'd take that one.
yeah. Now how about this ruler trait called the droning? It seems like I'm droning right now. While an enemy unit is within the contagion range for this unit, at the start of your enemy's movement phase, half that enemy's movement's move characteristic until the end of the phase.
Mm,
So that might be good if you're fighting like a very mobile army, or heck, if they want to be, or if they want to be completely mean, like a very slow enemy. So
that's what I
like,
was thinking. Other Death Guard trying to get in close combat.
or like, think about like Tal or Guard. Oh my goodness, think about that. Think about like Tal like battle suits. They have like movement of like 10 inches or something crazy like that. Now they can only move 5.
Yeah.
Or like Harlequins with their jet bikes that can move like 20 inches.
16.
Okay, still,
And then auto advance 6 inches, and then can advance and charge.
but still, 16 inches, knock out 8 inches. That can be a difference between getting in close combat or being left in the open.
At the same time, though, with them, if you're in range to do that, they're probably in range to get in a close combat with you anyway.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you have the stratagem that will add 6 up to 12 inches, that 12 inches is pretty dang big. Let's be honest here, okay?
Again, they have to be within contagion range,
So,
right?
yes.
They they have to be within 12 inches
Yes,
for you to affect them with that.
that is correct.
If a fast-moving Harlequin army is already within 12 inches of you, it's not going to matter if you have their move characteristic. They're still going to move, advance, and then charge you. Now, where this will be good is something like Space Marine Terminators, which already move 5. Now they're only moving 2.5.
How far
And
can a Orc boy move?
5.
Oh, it's 5. Okay, well, but here's the thing. But here's the thing, though. It's only during the enemy's movement phase. It's not the charge phase, which I think would
Okay.
be really nice.
Yeah.
But
Now, keep in mind, Harlequins and Tyranids, I don't know of anybody else that has a move twice type ability. Uh, but I'm pretty sure orcs do not have a move twice ability. So it's still a move 5, now 2.5 inches, and then maybe advance and charge, depending on why you got going on. But if you got a waddle or if the watt ended or not, it's iffy.
I
Because again, you have to have. It's a great ability, but they have to be within contagion range.
I think yet again it's another one of those. It sounds good. I think it might be really good against specific armies, but in a tournament, I would say this would be
No,
like number two on the list.
yeah, this is.
But hold on, I still have the relic, so this might save it. It's called the
Okay,
Man Scythe, and you pick a Ferryman with a Man Reaper, and this relic it's a close combat weapon. You have Cleave, which would be +3 to the strength. So that would be, for example,
like strength 7.
yeah, yeah. So it would be strength 7 -3, 2 damage. Okay, so they can do the scythe +1 damage, +1 to the strength, -1 AP or 1 damage. Um, So the abilities, the both. It's a plague weapon. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, subtract 1 from the attack's hit roll. Or if you do a scythe, each time an attack is made with this weapon, make 3 hit rolls instead of 1.
And they normally have like 5 attacks or something like that. So you'd be getting 15 attacks at strength. No, lower strength. So yeah, that one's more of a generalist kind of deal.
Well, here's the thing though. So for the regular Man Reaper, its Cleave and Scythe is both the same damage and AP minus. The only difference really is um, for Scythe, you make 2 hit rolls instead of 1, while with Ferryman Scythe, you make 3 attacks instead of 1. So,
Yeah, all
so
right.
I mean, yes, you get some extra attacks, you get an extra 5 attacks, so that's nice. That's a good anti-infantry, light infantry thing, but I don't know. I mean, I need to see what the genetic relics are. So,
All right. You just haven't seen them yet.
well, not in detail at least. And last but not least, Seventh Company, Lucky Seven, Mondrian's Chosen Sons. Whew. Okay, Mason, we're almost there. So, for their specific stratagem, Plague Brewers. And oh my goodness, if I ever make a type of beer, I would make a green beer and I would call it the Brewers.
Yeah, see how well that sells.
You never know. You never know. So, for one command point, it is a battle tactic stratagem, and uses stratagem in the shoot phase when Molcarian's Chosen Sons unit from the army selected to shoot. To the end of the phase, Bleachers, Plague Sprout Gauntlets, and Plague Spewers models in that unit have a damage of 2 instead of 1.
Okay, so they're basically those are the flamer equivalent type weapons anyway.
Well, the thing that I'm very interested in actually is this. So, um, double check something right here. Spring Gauntlets. So, Death Route Remainers, they have those gauntlets. It's 12 inches, pistol D6, strength 3, but it's damage 1, It's a plague weapon, but it's an automatic hit.
Okay.
If they're going up against like Space Marines, for example, in close combat, that I mean, yes, it's strength 3, that stinks.
But they're auto hitting and just weight of dice.
Yes, and it's 2 damage. So that is a Space Marine dead each turn. And it's a pistol also. So that's I like that. That's pretty cool actually. It's only 1
Okay.
CP, and the whole unit is armed with them. And, okay,
Okay. So if you have Death Shroud Terminators, that would be good.
yes. So now for the Warlord trait, Norgo's Fruit, and it's a contagion, duh, and it's basically you while an enemy unit is within the range, each time an attack is made by a friendly chosen sun's model against the unit, the target does not receive the benefits of cover against the attack.
And that's what?
That's a contagion.
So that's a Warlord trait.
That is correct.
Um,
If you're
not bad.
if you're doing like an urban combat or like a forest combat, then yes, I can see that being a good thing. But
It's it's a decent generalist ability.
right. And for the relic, it's called the Vomit Tricks, and you can only do it for only with the model with the plague sprayer only. Um,
So anybody that's holding a baby, got it.
um, let's see
And
what.
then shakes the baby.
And the baby stops crying. That's all that counts, right?
Just shake the baby up a little bit and let it puke all over somebody you don't like.
So the only unit off the top of my head from a quick glance that actually does have that, it's the Lord of Virulence, Virulence, and
Virulent.
there we go.
Yeah, he's the one that they showed off on the Warhammer community site.
But the thing is that so he has a twin plague spear. This one says just a plague sprayer. So maybe I am looking. I cannot read tonight. So never mind. So I'm gonna
Eh,
guess. Okay, well, who has it? Um, don't off the top of my head actually. I mean, it's gonna be like some kind of HQ unit. Maybe not. Maybe something else. But anyway, it is 12 inches, assault 7, strength 7, AP minus 3, 2 damage. It is a plague weapon, and it is a automatic hit.
okay, yeah. Because again, you're using a gun to vomit on people.
Blah. So, next level 7 companies. Mason, in your opinion, which one do you like the most, and which one do you like the least?
Uh, let's see. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I think it was the fourth the company that I liked the most, and probably the I think it was the third or second that I really didn't like.
So the second was the casket. Like the relic was the casket. Um, yeah, I mean both of them did suck actually. Um, and for mine, I think number one is the first company, but it's very close to the seventh company actually. But my least favorite actually. What was that?
Or was it the seventh? No, seventh company is the one we just talked about.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think that the fourth company is probably the top, and then it's the first company.
So Mason, let me ask you this. It's been an hour and a half, an hour and 20 minutes.
That's not very long.
Do you want to keep on going to the stratagems? Oh, wow. 4 pages of them?
No, I think stratagems are best to go over after the after the data sheets because there's going to be too many references to the data sheets
Well,
and you won't have them in context.
I'm gonna actually do this, Mason. I'm gonna stop recording, and I'm gonna say that I think this is a good chunk to leave off of.
Hmm.
And if you made it through this hour and a half of me basically being all stuffed up with Norga's blessing, thank you for listening. And we are gonna have a lot more videos. I want to try to get into like 7 videos. I think would be really cool. But
The orcs we got in 8.
well, you know what? We gotta do 7. So till next time, guys. Please hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, think about us while you paint, and like we always say,
Get your shit painted right meow.
right now.